Last week we talked about God having a purpose for everything that he does, and also on Friday about shifting our perspective, how we look at difficulties and challenges in life. And this is a theme that runs throughout different parts of Scripture where it shows up that just because it seems difficult or it's hard does not mean that we have to be shaped by that hardness and depressed and even discouraged. In fact, the gospel gives us reason to be encouraged. We should be very encouraged and even bold as we face the challenges that life comes, that come with life, that life brings. These are just a part of life. And in fact, we need them in order to grow and to develop. It just isn't something that we always want. And sometimes it's really difficult to get our perspective shaped by truth. We're going to stay in James today. We're actually just going to drop down in chapter 1 to verse 12. And in this whole section, James gives us this, when he said, count it all joy when you fall into various trials, because how this perfects, it tests and forms your patience and your character. It grows when we confront challenges with faith. And faith means that we're trusting and believing in the word, what God says. That's what that means. That means that that's going to define my reality. I'm going to elevate and hold what he says above the things that I'm experiencing, the way it feels and the way it seems, because fundamentally it's because he knows so much better than I do. In fact, right after that section there in James, that you get into verse 5, he's talking about if you lack wisdom, ask him. It's seek it from him. He's the one that can tell us and explain to you and help you understand. He has the wisdom. He knows how all the pieces and everything fits together. And in this context, James says, ask him for wisdom if you don't have it. If you lack wisdom, ask him. But you must ask believing that he wants you to have wisdom. And when we get to verse 12, he says, blessed is the man who endures temptation. For when he has been approved, he will receive the crown of life, which the Lord has promised to those who love him. So there's blessing in enduring and pushing through the temptation. And think about the temptation as the desire to quit, to find a way out, to avoid this hardship, this difficulty that I'm facing. And when I endure, and endurance is one of those things that's in the scripture again and again, because we have need of endurance. We have need of long suffering long with joy. We read that in Colossians before. Now, I won't always read from a different translation like the Passion Translation, but I want to read verse 12 from there. And just to emphasize what it's saying, he says, if your faith remains strong, even while surrounded by life's difficulties, you will continue to experience the untold blessings of God. True happiness, joy, comes as you pass the test with faith and receive the victorious crown of life promised to every lover of God. So when we remember God has a purpose and he's forming and fashioning something in us, and he gives us everything we need to always triumph, to be victorious, to walk out his purposes and his plans for us, what he determined from the very beginning. When I know that's true, and I hear his voice and I believe what he says, even when in my flesh it's screaming and saying, no, it doesn't seem and it doesn't feel that way. I know that the truth of God's statement is that he said it, because he doesn't lie. He can't lie. He is always true. He is always faithful. And so I want to grab a hold of that in whatever way that I can, in whatever way I need to, grab a hold of what he said and elevate that as my reality, not what I'm going through. When I do that and I endure and I press through, and it may be hard and it may be difficult and I may be really struggling, but what happens is I come out the other side with the strength and in the ability to stand that I didn't have before. And this is the teaching. This is what the good news actually is. Not that the hardships and difficulties are removed from my life, but that I am strengthened to walk through them victoriously because Jesus already paid for it and he lives in and with me, that I can do all things through him.